Hello, my name is Emery Brown, and I'm the MIT co-director of the Harvard-MIT Health Sciences and Technology program. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 2021 HST Community Awards. Together with my co-host for tonight's ceremony, HST Associate Director Dr. Matthew Frosch, we are honored to introduce this year's award ceremony recipients to the HST community.
In HST, we seek opportunities to recognize and celebrate members of our community for exemplary teaching, mentoring, and service. While these awards are typically presented in person at the HST Spring Dinner, tonight we continue that long-standing tradition in this virtual format. We will present a total of 12 awards in 3 categories. The first category is the HST Director's Award for Service. This honor is being given to 4 individuals who have served with distinction as course directors in the HST preclinical curriculum. Each of them stepped down from their teaching roles prior to the pandemic, but since we were not able to honor them last year, we are now belatedly expressing our gratitude for their outstanding service. First, we are pleased to recognize Dr. Sudha Bittinger, MD, PhD, Associate Professor of Pediatrics at Boston Children's Hospital, for her support of and service to HST 146, Biochemistry and Metabolism. Dr. Bittinger stepped in and provided key support during a transition year in the course, and then took on the role of director for the following 2 years. Her lecturing and organizational skills were universally appreciated by our HST students, and although she no longer directs the course, we remain grateful for her continued involvement as a lecturer. Thank you, Dr. Bittinger. Next, we are grateful to Dr. David Breaux, MD, PhD, Associate Professor of Pediatrics at Boston Children's Hospital, for dedicated service to HST in the HST 060 Endocrinology course. Dr. Breaux was Director of 060 for 8 years, stepping down in 2019. Praised for his concise, clear, and engaging lecture style and organized, efficient course administration, Dr. Breaux's tenure in HST 060 was greatly appreciated by many classes of HST students. We are fortunate that he returns to lecture each spring in endocrinology. Thank you, Dr. Breaux. Finally, for this category, we are pleased to recognize Dr. Nancy Berliner, MD, Professor of Medicine at Brigham and Women's Hospital, and Dr. Edward Benz, MD, Richard and Susan Smith Distinguished Professor of Medicine at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, for their unparalleled service and dedication to HST in the HST 080 Hematology course. Dr. Berliner stepped down after 10 years as the Associate Director, then Director of Hematology in 2019. Dr. Benz served with Dr. Berliner as Associate Director for 2 years. Students commented that the lectures given by Dr. Berliner and Dr. Benz were examples of what other lecturers should aspire to, and that their contributions to the mini-case sessions were excellent. Thank you, Dr. Berliner and Dr. Benz.
The next category is the HST Directors Awards for Extraordinary Service. While we acknowledge the tremendous efforts of all of our amazing faculty during these challenging times, tonight this honor goes to 2 individuals whose recent contributions were especially noteworthy. The HST Directors Award for Extraordinary Service goes to Dr. Jeff Behrens, CEO of Gelmedics, founder of LabShares Newton, and lecturer in HST. Dr. Behrens directs the HST 590 seminar series, which exposes HST PhD students to a variety of topics and helps them imagine the broad range of career paths available beyond academia. Normally, the fall 2020 offering of HST 590 would have covered ethics and responsible conduct of research. Following last summer's events and the response to student requests for curriculum covering racial disparities in healthcare, Dr. Behrens rapidly assembled an impressive collection of speakers from across the nation to expand the ethics curriculum with additional topics such as color in the cancer line, scientists as political activists, race equity in a pandemic, challenges and opportunities, and research partners, not subjects, engaging indigenous peoples in genetic studies, to name a few. As a result, all first and second year HST students were exposed to thought leaders on systemic causes of racial inequities in access to healthcare and healthcare outcomes. Jeff, we can't thank you enough for piloting what will become an enduring component of our HST curriculum. Your knowledge, creativity, and responsiveness to student feedback has made HST a model for other programs to emulate, and it's my great pleasure to present to you the 2021 HST Directors Award for Extraordinary Service. Our next honoree is Dr. Nathaniel Price, instructor in medicine at Mount Auburn Hospital. Dr. Price is the Mount Auburn Site Director for the Introduction to Clinical Medicine course, known as ICM for HST's MEMP PhD students. For many years, Dr. Price has thoughtfully and insightfully educated our PhD students in clinical practice, an unconventional activity even in normal times. This task became considerably more complicated during the past year due to the overwhelming clinical workload confronting Dr. Price and his colleagues and students' lack of physical access to the hospital. Undeterred by these challenges, Dr. Price organized a remote offering of the MEMP ICM course that ran from September 2020 through January 2021. His tireless efforts succeeded in preserving this unparalleled clinical exposure that so richly informs the careers of our PhD students at the intersection of science, engineering, and medicine. Only a few weeks after the remote ICM session ended, Dr. Price started planning for an in-person offering of MEMP ICM in June. Nathaniel, we are incredibly grateful for all you do and wish you our sincere congratulations on this HST Directors Award for Extraordinary Service. Please join me in congratulating all 6 recipients of the 2021 HST Director Awards. Everything we do in HST centers on our students. We partner with them and rely on them to help us improve many aspects of the program. This next set of awards demonstrates that spirit. A committee comprised entirely of HST students collected nominations from the community and selected the recipients for each of the next 6 awards, recognizing outstanding teaching, mentoring, and service. Each nominator and award recipient has recorded video remarks. We hope you will enjoy hearing directly from the nominators and the awardees.
The Irving M. London Teaching Award is given annually to recognize teaching faculty who have made outstanding contributions to the teaching of HST students. The 2021 London Teaching Award will be presented by HST students Catherine Nabel, Blake Hauser, and Dan Rubin to Dr. Clyde Crumpacker, MD, Professor of Medicine at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, and Dr. Harvey Simon, MD, Associate Professor of Medicine at Massachusetts General Hospital, for their many decades of dedicated service to teaching HST 040 mechanisms of microbial pathogenesis to generations of HST students.
The 3 of us are incredibly pleased to nominate Clyde Crumpacker and Harvey Simon for the Irving M. London Teaching Award. No one embodies the spirit of Dr. London more than Dr. Crumpacker and Dr. Simon. Harvey Simon started teaching the HST microbiology class in 1986, while Dr. Crumpacker joined him as course director in 1993. Despite the fact that they had to adapt to this year's virtual classes, Dr. Simon and Crumpacker excelled in their ability to assemble speakers and adapt the curriculum.
COVID-19 block in particular was one of the best sets of lectures I've seen in any HST class, incorporating clinical relevance, novel research, and industry application. Dr. Simon and Crumpacker also modified the in-person lab experience, shipping agar plates to students. They further introduced clinical case discussions, incorporating decision-making with pathology and lab findings. HST Micro should be a role model for integrating the clinic into the classroom.
For any medical student, the world exists in cycles of 4 or perhaps up to 8 years. There's little ability to see across time to previous iterations of the same class. Between them, Dr. Simon and Crumpacker have dedicated more than 6 decades to HST and the teaching of microbiology. They have maintained a dedication to giving many of the lectures themselves while adapting the course to an ever-changing medical world. As both lecturers and course directors, I believe that Dr. Simon and Crumpacker have shaped generations of budding microbiologists. In this, their final year, and perhaps their finest, I can think of no better teacher to deserve the Irving M. London Teaching Award. Thank you, Dr. Simon and Crumpacker.
Yay!
Yay!
Okay, well, first of all, I'd like to say it is really an honor to receive the Irving London Teaching Award this year, and especially to share it with my co-course director and associate director of the course, Harvey Simon. So Harvey, Simon, and I have worked together since I became course director in 1993, and he's been my associate director all that time, and we've become real friends through this effort. And I think our friendship has really been largely responsible for the success that this course has had, because we could complement each other and correct each other, and that really made for a good working relationship. So Dr. Simon and I have had complementary skills. He was an excellent writer of medical books for Harvard Medical School and was a superb clinician running an ID practice at the Mass General for many years. I'm a virologist, and I came to the Beth Israel in 1974 to be the head of infectious disease at Beth Israel and director of the Beth Israel Children's ID Training Program, and set up the first virology research lab at BI. So we've had continuous NIH funding in our lab for over 40 years until we closed the lab 10 years ago. I think one of the things that I'd like to share, because it's a real effort of collaboration, which is so important in science these days, is the NIH-supported AIDS clinical trial group that was a collaboration of 3 Harvard hospitals at MGH, Mass General, and the Deaconess. And during the 10 years from 1986 till we had highly active therapy in 1996, the Beth Israel enrolled more patients in NIH clinical trials than any Harvard hospital. So it was an essential collaboration that made this possible. And the other thing I would just also like to share with you was a quote from Dr. Baruch's lecture this year on the vaccine for COVID, where he closed his lecture and asked the students to always choose the hard problems to work on. So I'd just like to repeat Dan Baruch's admonition. This last year has been a very challenging one because everything had to be done on Zoom. But thanks to the help of 3 marvelous TAs, Dan Rubin, Blake Hauser, and Catherine Noble, and a superb computer training specialist, Ann Vera Cruz, we were able to get through it and make the course a success. One of the successful things that I think we were able to do is had Dr. Andrea Carfey from Moderna come and talk about the mRNA vaccine, and then Dan Baruch's lecture on the vaccine using Adeno 26 vector. I would like to say that all of my interactions with the HST students has always been very inspiring. You are a remarkably idealistic group who wants to change the world and make it a better place. It's been especially in the area of trying to improve social inequalities in healthcare and to try to make the American health system better. I said one of the highlights of this past year has been a student's comment at the end of the year when she's remarked that HST 040 was the best course that she's had in HST to teach about medical inequities and inability of healthcare to be fair in the United States. And I think the COVID pandemic has certainly highlighted all of that. And we must all continue to work to change this, to improve healthcare system, and to improve diversity at Harvard Medical School. And I know that the HST students will be in the forefront of trying to continue this fight. So lastly, I would say it has been a great honor and a pleasure to teach micro all these years, particularly because I'm interacting with such wonderful and inspiring students. And as I wrap up this course, I would just like to say that I will miss you all very much.
I'm grateful to the awards committee for this kind recognition. And I'm particularly delighted to share this distinction with Clyde, who richly deserves it, not only for his many accomplishments in science and education, but for his profound commitment to student welfare and to social justice. I received this award as well in 1993, which was in the Kodachrome carousel projector era, and I'm frankly astounded to receive it again in the Zoom era. Astounded, but very pleased. My gratitude to HST extends far beyond this award. It began in 1973 when Harold Amos invited me to speak in his young HST microbiology course. These would be my first lectures at the medical school right out of fellowship, and I was so profoundly nervous that I wrote out the text of my first talk verbatim on 5x7 index cards. I was saved from torpedoing my teaching career before it even got started because our classroom was so darn dark that I couldn't read the notes at all. 1973 is a significant year as well because that's when Senator Ted Kennedy exposed the Tuskegee experiment for what it was. And since my topics have included the spirochetes, I'm grateful to HST for giving me the opportunity to discuss the pernicious and pervasive effects of racism on science, medicine, and society. I loved teaching HST in those early years, but left for the old microbiology 701 in about 1977 or 78. But I returned to HST in 86, and ever since have had the privilege and joy of learning with HST. In 93, Clyde came on board as course director, and we've been partners in crime ever since. One of the many things I'm grateful to HST for is to fostering our friendship, which will endure as long as we do. Over these many years, I've given over 500 talks at HST. Clearly, the database has changed enormously over the years, and so has my lecture content. But I must confess that my jokes haven't changed very much at all. Our gratitude to HST for this award is real, but I must say that the distinction belongs not to Clyde and me, but to everybody associated with the microbiology course and to HST in a broader sense. So I'm grateful, of course, to the administration for making it all possible. In particular, Rick's encouragement, well, I should say insistence that we could make the transmission to remote teaching was essential to the endeavor. And Patty, who is herself a well-deserved award recipient today, has been the glue that held us all together ever since 1989. I'm grateful to our guest speakers who have imparted so much knowledge and wisdom to all of us. I'm grateful particularly to our wonderful teaching fellows for their great knowledge of microbiology, their communication and teaching skills, for their technical expertise, which made teaching on the Zoom platform possible, and above all, for their kindness and patience. And I'm grateful particularly to our students for their brilliance, for their probing questions from which we learn so much, for their enthusiasm, idealism, and integrity. It's particularly gratifying that over the years, quite a number of our graduates have gone on to distinguished careers in microbiology and infectious disease. And among these is Sanjat, who I'm very happy to say will be picking up the baton to direct HST 040 going forward. So I'll conclude these remarks sort of the way I anticipated beginning my HST career with some words on an index card. Anyone who has endured and survived my talks will know that I occasionally scatter bits of medical history or quotes from individuals in the past, and I'll do so now by sharing some words from Sir William Osler in 1899, which expresses where I stand today as well. He wrote, "It is a good many years since I have sat on the benches, but I'm happy to say that I am still a medical student with much to learn." So thank you, HST, for all I've learned over the years and for the wonderful people I have learned with. It's truly been great.
The HST Outstanding Teaching Award is awarded to a current HST student who has made preeminent contributions to one or more classes in the HST curriculum through exemplary efforts as a teaching assistant. Course directors Dr. Rohit Sharma and Dr. Sudha Bittinger and HST students Raquel Hecht and Adrian Koskia will present the 2021 Outstanding Teaching Award to HST MD-PhD student Timothy Caradonna for his extraordinary work in HST 146, Biochemistry and Metabolism.
Tim, I was so pleased to hear that you were selected for the HST Outstanding Teaching Award. You, as I've told you many times before, you are the lifeblood of the HST Biochemistry and Metabolism course, and I'm so thrilled that you are being recognized for your contributions. People may not know that when we took over the course a few years ago, there was a lot of work to be done, and I could not have asked for a better partner in doing it. There are people in this world who have incredible energy and enthusiasm. There are people that are incredibly smart, and there are people who have the knack for getting this done. Tim, you have all of those qualities, and on top of that, you're kind and compassionate and just a ton of fun to work with. I can't wait to see what you do with your career, and I truly hope to have the chance to work with you again. Congratulations one more time.
Tim is a gifted teacher and scientific mentor, and if I had to choose only a few of his exceptional teaching qualities to highlight, they would be: 1, his infinite, and I mean infinite, patience for questions, no matter how simple, complex, or just downright ridiculous. 2, his enormous breadth of knowledge and amazing ability to take difficult concepts and explain them with utmost clarity. And 3, his propensity to take even the driest of teaching material and make it seem fun, engaging, and relatable. Because of Tim, our class learned all of biochem in a single Jeopardy game, and because of Tim, our class will never be able to think about Thanksgiving without considering postprandial somnolence. Congratulations, Tim, this was so well deserved.
I want to offer my congratulations to Tim on being recognized today. I nominated Tim really on behalf of the entire M1 class because he's such an excellent TA, but I thought I might speak to another one of his educator superpowers, and Tim really has a keen sense of his students' research interests. So he and I share an interest in structural biology, and throughout the course, Tim would send me some really inspiring papers on the structure of some of these famous molecules as we were learning them. He still sends me papers from time to time that I might find interesting, and really, he is always spot on. So Tim, a huge thank you for everything you do to contribute to HST's mission of cultivating research in our learning, and congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. You are a huge part of what makes HST special.
It has been an absolute joy to work with Tim in HST 146 over the last 2 years. Tim teaches with incredible clarity and depth of knowledge and poise, and the student reviews unanimously glow about his enthusiasm, his outstanding presentations, and his approachability. Tim has in fact also been the super glue for the class over his entire tenure, and he's guided it through several transitions. This year he helped me understand the improvements that we can make in the class and how it fits into the HST experience. Tim, it's been an honor to work with you, and I want to thank you for the extraordinary care and energy that you bring to your teaching. It's been inspiring to see how you've raised the levels of not just the students that you've worked with, but also of the class and the program as a whole. Congratulations on this much-deserved recognition.
Everyone, I just wanted to say a sincere and heartfelt thank you. This really is a huge honor. In particular, I want to say thank you to Rohit and Sudha. It's been an incredible experience being able to work with each of you. And Rohit, I can't wait to hear about how fantastic the future iterations of the course will be. Having seen what goes into course planning and then what goes into course replanning when it all has to be converted for Zoom, I can honestly say there's no one else I'd rather see in the pilot seat. So looking back, my favorite part of TAing was hands down trying to answer all of the questions that I was asked. And even though people are at the start of med school, you can already see the wheels turning as people start to think about, the really crucial fundamental questions in medicine. Questions like, if I induce expression of a mitochondrial uncoupler, could I breed a self-barbecuing pig? Or, hypothetically, does the size of the Dalmatian impact how much shrimp I could feed it before it gets a kidney stone? All joking aside, I truly love questions like these, just because it's a chance to really see people engaging with material. Whenever we have to think and not just memorize, that's when the best learning occurs. And being able to play any sort of role in that for the past 4 years, for many of you, has been truly a fantastic experience. And so with that, let me just say thank you one more time to everyone and to the M1s. I really hope I get to meet you all in person sometime soon. Take care, everyone.
The Seidman Prize for MD Research was established in 2009 by an HST MD alum to honor Drs. Christine and Jonathan Seidman for their inspiring mentorship. The prize is given annually to a faculty member for outstanding research mentorship of an HST MD student. The 2021 Seidman Prize for MD Research will be presented by HST student Dan Rubin to Dr. Jonathan Grad, MD, PhD. Dr. Grad is an alumnus of the HST class of 2006 and currently serves as the Melvin J. and Geraldine L. Glimcher Associate Professor of Immunology and Infectious Disease at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health.
I am honored to introduce my mentor and PI, Jonathan Grad. Jonathan is a graduate of this very program as an MD PhD and went on to continue his career at Harvard. He did his residency in internal medicine at the Brigham, his fellowship in infectious diseases between the Brigham and MGH, and his postdoc at the Harvard School of Public Health, where he is now on the faculty. Somewhere in those 25 years, Jonathan absorbed the best of what Harvard can offer in terms of teaching, mentorship, and empathy. I first met Jonathan as a rotation student. What drew me to his lab was not just the fact that he met with all of his lab members for an hour every week, but that he was funny, engaging, and thoughtful about science. I felt like both of us could share in my successes and troubleshoot my failures. Before I started my grad work, pun absolutely intended, I received advice about the difficulties of motivation, with negative results, with stressful deadlines. Having a great mentor like Jonathan has not insured against these eventualities, but he has proved to be an essential helping hand in that time of strife. He is ever present with a kind word, a scientific insight, a helpful piece of advice that sets me on the right track. Part of his mentoring success is rooted in the scope of his science. He has done excellent translational work on the epidemiology of COVID, on antibiotic usage in Massachusetts, and on the basic science of bacteria. Beyond the laboratory, Jonathan has helped me remain focused on the clinic through direct translation to antibiotic treatment. I hope that I'll be able to teach in my future career, and Jonathan has been a lecturer in the HST microbiology class for many years. Finally, there is a substantial commitment to service. Our lab works on gonorrhea, which, beyond being a terrible conversation topic over a holiday dinner, is also a disease that is understudied and affects mainly marginalized groups both here in the US and across the globe. Finally, the litmus test of a good mentor is defined by how he or she responds to feedback. A few graduate students in the lab felt that, in all of our Harvard education, there was little emphasis on how to increase diversity in a practical manner. They spoke, and Jonathan listened. So now we have regular lab meetings dedicated to understanding the language of diversity and a specific emphasis on expanding diversity in the biological sciences. This is what I believe makes Yonatan unique. He has the patience to listen and the empathy to comprehend. Thank you to the awards committee, and congratulations, Yonatan, on receiving the Seidman Prize for MD Research Mentorship.
Thank you to the HST Mentorship Award Selection Committee and to the nominator, Dan, for this wonderful award. I am honored to receive the Seidman Prize for MD Mentorship. I'm particularly honored to receive this prize as it's named for the Seidmans, whom I recall as tremendous scientists, mentors, and pillars of our community. I received the email notifying me of the award a couple of hours after completing a 3-day training session on mentorship, which concluded with each participant reflecting on ways in which we can improve our own individual mentoring. The list I had compiled was long, so I was especially surprised and delighted to receive this award, even as it makes me want to redouble my efforts to be a good mentor to the wonderful and eminently deserving students I have the privilege of working with and learning from. As a former HST student myself, this award has special meaning. I have benefited from excellent mentorship at every stage of my career, and I deeply hope that I'm able to continue to pay it forward. Thank you again so much.
The Thomas A. McMahon Mentoring Award, established in 1999, is presented annually to the person who, through the warmth of his or her personality, inspires and nurtures HST students in their scientific and personal growth, and through honest advice and generosity to all students and colleagues, sets an admirable example of excellence in mentoring. The 2021 McMahon Mentoring Award will be presented by HST student Kate Higgins to Dr. June Kanahara. Dr. Kanahara is a London Society advisor and Associate Director of HST, and Instructor of Pediatrics at Boston Children's Hospital and the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Higgins, and I'm a 5th-year MD PhD student. I want to say a few words on behalf of June Kamahara. June exemplifies everything that I love about HST: clinical excellence, a passion for research, and advocacy for students. She embodies HST's values and traditions, but also looks for ways to make our program more rigorous, inclusive, and nurturing. I'd like to share 2 of my stories about working with her, but please know that many of my friends and classmates have had similar experiences. For the past 3 years, I've struggled with significant health problems, which have at times interfered with my coursework and clinical training. Early on, I decided to confide in June, and she has been one of my strongest supporters. She has given me countless pep talks, shifted her schedule for urgent troubleshooting sessions, and spoken to course and program directors on my behalf. However, she has never made me feel like a burden. Instead, she is focused on the strengths that I bring to HST and my potential as a proto-physician scientist. Even now when I'm doing full-time research, she still reaches out periodically to ask how I'm doing. Even in the time since I submitted this nomination in February, she has helped me work through a significant setback regarding my research. I have also had the opportunity to work with June in a more professional capacity. I'm a member of a student organization called the Disabilities in Medicine and Dentistry Working Group. Our team partners with individual course directors to brainstorm ways of incorporating disability content into the HMS curriculum. As one of the course directors of GPS, June was one of our first contacts with an HST, and she has been unfailingly open-minded and optimistic. I know that she agrees with the goals of our organization, but I think it's more than that. I suspect that she is trying to empower HST students to shape their own education and career. If HST can make me just a little more like June Kamahara, it will have been worth every penny.
Dear students, I really cannot thank you enough for this amazing award. I feel humbled and grateful as I've benefited from the mentorship of so many people in HST and beyond during my education and career. This award is really special because it comes from you. It's such a privilege to get to work with each one of you, the incredible HST students, who challenge us, who teach us, who often lead us, and who definitely always inspire us. My student colleagues, you are brilliant but not afraid to be vulnerable. You listen and you care about others. You speak up and you strive to make the world a better place. It is my great honor to walk alongside each one of you on your journey to becoming the very best version of who you're meant to be. Thank you again with so much love and appreciation.
Established in 2019, to honor the contributions of HST faculty member and former HST director, Dr. Roger Mark. 2 Roger G. Mark Service Awards are presented annually to current members of the HST community who embody excellence through actions that promote HST community values and ideals. The 2021 Roger G. Mark Service Award to a student will be presented by students in the first year HST MD class to their colleague, Rory Mather.
It is our honor and privilege as the HST MD class of 2024 to introduce our very own Rory Mather as recipient of the HST Roger G. Mark Service Award.
His service to our class and the broader HST community came in many forms, all of which were crucial to ensuring that our virtual education this year was as smooth as possible and our class spirits were high.
First, Rory has been an extraordinary advocate for our class, fearlessly advocating for students' interests in helping exchange valuable feedback between faculty and students.
An expert commander of polls and feedback, Rory showed incredible perseverance and creativity in ensuring any challenges that come with a virtual format were addressed.
When anyone in the class had concerns, worries, or simply just had a bad day, we knew Rory had our backs.
Secondly, Rory's involvement in the Student Council as Vice President was paramount to making certain that our community was swiftly and completely updated on COVID-19 guidelines and vaccination efforts.
He took notes and meeting minutes, relayed concerns to big docs everywhere, constantly solicited feedback, and listened to anyone and everyone's voices.
In addition to the administrative tasks that came with the Student Council, he regularly coordinated virtual gatherings and feedback sessions to help foster a sense of community.
From our coffee chats to wine and snack nights, mixers and donuts, office hours and class meetings, Rory was there, encouraging us to connect with one another and fearlessly advocating for the resources to make it a reality.
His presence in student council and student life markedly helped bridge the divide between pathways in HST, faculty, and students.
Rory's involvement as a student representative for the MD-PhD program has been similarly exceptional. His work planning M1 MD-PhD dinners has kept us all connected even from afar during our first year.
He planned breakout meetings with different graduate programs, set up hangouts with Lauren and Amy, coordinated ordering MD-PhD merch, planned revisit events, and even sought guidance so everyone knew how to file taxes correctly. Rory is the glue that holds our physician scientist community together, and we could not be more grateful.
All in all, Rory's tenacity, residency, and motivation has made HST a much better place.
He has left a lasting mark on our community and gone above and beyond what could be expected from any first-year student.
We are so proud to call him our friend, and we could not think of anyone more extraordinarily deserving of the Roger G. Marks Service Award.
Thank you, Rory.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rory.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rory.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything, Rory.
I just want to start off by saying thank you so much to everyone who's nominated me, for my classmates, for all the HST leadership, for really supporting me all the way up until this point. Because I think for me, when I was choosing between different medical schools, the first thing I was looking for wasn't just, the research or the medical curriculum. It really was trying to find a place I could call family. And that doesn't necessarily mean just finding nice people or even people with the same mindset as me. It really just meant people who were willing to let me do what I love doing, and for me that was advocating for my peers. And I really don't think that every other place I had the opportunity to go to would have been so patient and so flexible to deal with my everyday shenanigans. And I think that chance for me to grow and to learn how to be an effective leader for the HST community, that is something that I appreciate every single day that I'm here. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone for not only letting me advocate for you, but also work with all of you. And hopefully I'll be able to have the chance to do that for the next, 7+ years.
The 2021 Roger G. Mark Service Award to a faculty or staff member will be presented by HST students, past and present, to our beloved Patty Cunningham.
When we were in first year of HST, we had a superhero theme for Society Olympics, and we all voted Patty as Wonder Woman because she is the Wonder Woman of HST. Not only does Patty know everything about HST and work incredibly hard to help HST function, but she also approaches everything with a level of thoughtfulness, dedication, and caring that's really unsurpassed. And so for all of us, she's really a role model for the kind of hero we hope to be someday for our own students, mentees, patients, and really everyone else.
Only 30 seconds to explain how Patty exemplifies HST values. Patty's service to HST is immense, immeasurable, and immutable. She cares deeply for all in the community, students, faculty, staff. In many ways, Patty provides the glue that makes HST the amazing community it is. I was lucky she was part of HST when I was a student, really lucky when I was a faculty, super lucky when I was HST director, and extraordinarily lucky to have now been her HST colleague for around 4 decades. She so totally deserves this Outstanding Service Award.
Patty Cunningham is one of the most integral parts of the HST program. I tremendously value all that she does to support us in organizing the MD curriculum from day to day. She is not only the bridge between the students and the HMS administration, but also a cheerleader and caring friend to us. I have been comforted by her kindness and compassion throughout the years. Congrats, Patty, on this well-deserved award.
One thing that stands out to me is that during the HST 35th anniversary event, Ferris Jenkins gave a talk, and at the end, he and others were discussing giving Patty an award that traditionally required roasting the recipient. But Dr. Jenkins paused and he said in a state of shock, "Roasting Patty? We can't do it. She's a saint." And he wasn't being exaggerated or anything. He explained that there was not a single thing he could find worth roasting in Patty. And even if there was even the tiniest thing worth roasting, Patty would be the last person on earth he could think of should be roasted. I don't think I've ever heard anybody refer to a colleague as a saint, but he meant it quite genuinely. So to me, Patty exemplifies HST values in that she maintains genuine warmth, integrity, and care towards all the people she interacts with while excelling in her work.
I met Patty at the start of medical school. She immediately made me feel at home. Patty strives to ensure the highest standards of excellence in medicine, research, and overall professionalism. She's a good listener and has the patience of a saint. She expects the best for and from all of us. Patty connected me to alums in other years, and now as an alum has encouraged me to reach out to incoming and current HST students. Patty represents the best of the HST program and its successes. She has served the program tirelessly. Everyone associated with HST, including me, is incredibly grateful for her commitment to the program and our community. I can't think of anyone more deserving than her of this award. Congratulations, Patty.
Hiya, Patty. I'm really excited and happy for you to receive the Roger G. Mark Award. I always really appreciated how warm and friendly you are to students in the HST community, whether that's names and conversation whenever we gather at TMAC, or going above and beyond for whatever favors we have to ask of you, or anything in between, really. You do a lot to make the HST community as strong as it is, and it's really a tremendously well-deserved award for you. Again, I'm really, really happy, and congratulations.
What Patty does for HST is pure magic. She takes a very high pressure environment and turns it down from what is a rough boil to a nice soothing warmth. All with unreal organizational skills that I have seen as both a student and a faculty member. I can't thank you enough, Patty. You can never leave. I'm very sorry, but you just can't. When you retire, we're gonna need to have a Patty bot that ports your consciousness into a robot and helps keep HST the same. Thank you so much.
Hi, Patty. Congratulations on your award. I believe you embody some of the values of HST by always being available and willing to help others with their problems, specifically HST students as myself. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Patty has always been the go-to person for all at the HMS side of HST. She is the warm and always helpful face and the tireless engine behind the scenes. If you have a question, Patty knows all the answers, but also isn't a know-it-all. To think of all the hats that Patty wears, and yet most of us probably don't even realize even half of the work that she does. Patty truly exemplifies HST's values of excellence, compassion, and respect. Congratulations, Patty.
Congratulations on your selection for the Roger Mark Outstanding Service Award in HST. I couldn't be more happy. that you've been recognized with this award, and couldn't be more happy that you're recognized with an award that likewise honors one of our colleagues, Roger, who himself has provided outstanding service to the HST community. When I was asked to say a few words, I naturally reached out to some of my former classmates, sort of the usual suspects that you might know about, and asked them what comes to mind when they think of Patty Cunningham. The first that I got is, "I love Patty!" exclamation point. And I think it's fair to say that we all do. Patty is compassionate and warm, always willing to help and to listen. I can also wholeheartedly subscribe to that. Whenever I was in the HST office in the MAC, I would drop into her office to look for her friendly face and say hi. And I think we all, have had that experience, or even that need to actually see your smile. Patty is stupendous. Hope she never retires. She always makes you feel special, cared for, listened to, always drop what she needs to do to give you a bit of her time, no matter how busy she is. She is the glue that holds HST together. As I said, I can wholeheartedly subscribe to all of these sentiments, and I would like to add that you're a beacon of professionalism, Patty. Your discretion and your diplomacy has helped many of us, and I hope that it will continue to help many of us. And if I may add something very selfishly at the end, I do hope that you never retire. But if you do, I hope it's after I do. Congratulations on being selected for this award. You richly deserve it. There are many people who contribute, selflessly to HST, but very few people, I think, reach Patty level. Congratulations.
Members of the HST Community Awards Committee, students, faculty, and staff. I am thrilled to have been selected as the recipient of the 2021 Roger G. Mark Outstanding Service Award for Staff. This award means a great deal to me. Roger Mark was the co-director of HST during most of my early tenure in the division. He was a great role model and mentor and helped me grow in my career. He was also one of the few people in the administration whose Boston accent was as thick as mine. Thank you, Roger. Having been part of the HST community for more than 40 years, I'm also very grateful for this recognition. Through my work, I've gotten to know thousands of amazing students, faculty, researchers, and staff who have greatly enriched my life. It's been an honor and pleasure to serve you. Thank you all for your collegiality and friendship, with special gratitude to our MD and PhD students.
Congratulations to all our 2021 award recipients. We are truly grateful for your ongoing contributions to the HST community, and sincere thanks to all of who submitted nominations and to the dedicated HST students who volunteered to serve on the 2021 HST Community Awards Committee.